Large Blaster. Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is a beautiful Monday in Nashville, Tennessee. It's really nice out there. Enjoy the good weather. We're at the Ford Ice Center in Bellevue, and we got a lot of stuff to get to before the day is over. Let's get right to it. Let's say hello to Kelly Holcomb, who joins us from Murfreesboro. Kelly, how many hours of basketball did you watch?
Golly, man, a bunch of hours. I sit there and watched it all day long, which is kind of crazy to me, but there were some good games. There were some, not so good games, but it was definitely riveting action.
So we have a new development for the tournament.
Okay.
Thursday and Friday, Larry Schmittou will be making the plaster bets of the day.
Really?
Yes. And here's what went on. Okay. I knew exactly what was coming today. And he's like, your picks suck. And I said, yes,
And I have to agree.
I'm very aware of that. And I said, but it's a lot harder than you think it is. So this week, why don't you pick on Thursday and Friday? He jumped at it. We're going to have some fun with it. He did say to me, he said, I think your guys will be rooting for me. I said, yeah. I said, I have
over you, absolutely.
Yeah, I said, I have no doubt about that. Billy, who will you be rooting for?
Oh, Larry, no doubt. Yeah. So is this a battle between? I mean, is this?
No, look, he loves. First of all, he loves screwing with me, and I like kind of firing back a little bit. And I knew this morning what was coming at our breakfast, and he didn't wait long. He waited about 10 seconds to tell me that my pick sucked, but I already had it planned to say, you think it's so easy, you do it. And of course, he jumped at it. We're going to have some fun with it. If he goes 7-1, he'll be able to do all the trash talk. If he goes 1-7, I'll be able to do it. And if he goes 4-4, as he said, I can't do any worse than you have. Although, Billy, this weekend, I was not bad.
No, it wasn't bad. It was a lot better. You got
the middle of the
above
week,
water.
Yeah, the middle of the week took on quite a bit of water.
That wasn't pretty.
No, we took on quite a bit of water. So in the first hour, I'll tell you exactly how we're going to handle this. There are 3 or 4 issues that have come out of the first weekend of the tournament that we're going to talk about. I've asked Kerry Keating to come on with us. It's sort of up in the air and probably leaning toward more unlikely that he's going to be able to. Then we'll get to all the SEC in the 4 o'clock hour. They have 7 teams in the Sweet 16, which I'll admit is a couple more than I thought they would.
Started slow.
Yeah.
And they started winning. And the Big Ten did the opposite. They started 10-0, and then they rattled off a couple of losses.
And if you're saying, oh, I knew Ole Miss would be there, I'm not sure I believe you.
Hey, I thought with their draw, they had a really good shot, too.
Yeah, whatever.
Ole Miss shot the light. There's nothing you can do when you're shooting that good. I mean, at one point in the game, I think they were like 71%.
Yeah,
and they were well over 50% on threes. They were hitting everything. Now, I will say this: if you're Chris Beard, he got pissed there at the end of the game because I'm like, they kind of call the dogs off a little bit too early. Like, you can't do that. Like.
Yeah.
Just think if they wouldn't have got those last 2 buckets that they had, I mean, that game could have got tight because they had just kind of eased off the gas pedal and allowed them to get back into the game. And I'm like, wow, how are you doing this? And he took a timeout and he was pretty pissed.
Well, same thing happened.
Which he can get, as we've learned.
Yeah.
Yes.
Same thing happened with Tennessee, too. I mean, they
Yeah.
I know that it was over with like 8 minutes left, but in the tournament setting like that, it's got to be hard to keep your foot on the gas.
Yeah.
But we do have an update.
Right. I was going to ask about that. I mean, we have the news, the exciting news that Coach Schmittou will do picks Thursday and Friday.
And we're all thrilled about that.
You know, I'm not rooting against him. I want to make that clear, but I'm also not rooting for him to go 8-0.
That's going to be fun.
If he goes 8-0, I'll never hear the end of it.
No, you won't. And he won't ever leave the show.
No, which is hilarious. I absolutely, he is so much fun to deal with.
Lori Barnette Leland brings us the update. It is 615-969-4350 is her number, her website, mortgageladyyusa.com. Well, we didn't have time to wrap up the Vandy loss on Friday. We were doing the show live as it was going on.
It wasn't over yet.
Well, yeah, it ended at what? 5, a little after 5. But I don't want to say they choked, but in a sense they did. They should have won that game. They could have won that game, but you also got to give credit to St. Mary's that they were the bigger team. They had a couple of beasts down low, and Vandy couldn't rebound.
I'm not going where you are.
Yeah, shoulda, coulda, woulda, Billy.
And here's what I mean by it, Billy.
What do you mean? So you're not saying they choked?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, because I'm not.
Look, I think when you look at their roster, for him to get 20 wins out of that, I mean, that's about as close to 100% of what a coach can get out of a team. Now, could they have won the game?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah,
they could have. Does that roster have serious limitations? Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And one of the big ones is they don't have a lot of guys on that roster that can get their own shot.
Right.
And it felt a little bit like it did in the second half in Knoxville, where they really got D'd up on, and they just simply couldn't get shots, couldn't get good shots.
Well, you wonder, too, if they could have given Alabama a better fight, because St. Mary's, they were not a match for Alabama.
St. Mary's can't shoot, guys. I mean, they can't. They're not. I don't know. And Alabama's defense is not great, but like I think that was a tough matchup for Vanderbilt. But they were still in the game, and I thought they did have a chance to win. But it's different when you get to the tournament. You have to make shots, and St. Mary's just against Alabama, they couldn't make shots. I mean, the big guy, he was. I don't know, but it's just once you go deeper in the tournament, you got to have something special. And I mean, St. Mary's, they beat Gonzaga twice. They beat them 3 years in a row. They lost in the championship game, but they just don't. They didn't have enough to continue.
Tennessee had enough to continue. They rolled over UCLA behind another great game from Chaz Lanier. Vols advanced to their 3rd straight Sweet 16. That's the first time that's happened in program history. And they will play Kentucky on Friday night in Indianapolis.
Now, think about this. Okay, I don't know exactly what they've configured Lucas Oil to hold.
20,000.
That's all?
Yeah, it's usually 40,
really?
Upwards of 40,000.
Because you've got 3 fan bases that are a stone's throw from there.
Indianapolis,
Tennessee, Kentucky, Purdue.
Yep.
Good Lord, they could sell 100,000.
And if you're only letting 20,000 in there, why not just play that in the Gainbridge Fieldhouse where the Pacers play? That's got to be close to 20,000.
It's a good point.
I don't really get that.
I don't have the answer.
But yeah, it's. I mean, you're right. The tickets.
It's not like the NCAA to turn down money.
Tickets start at $300. That'll definitely go up, with the most expensive seats going for over $3,000. This is Kentucky's first Sweet 16 appearance since 2019, so the Blue Mist will be there in abundance. So will Purdue and Tennessee, like you said. That'll be at 6:40 on either True TV or TBS on Friday night. It's 5 hours from Knoxville, 4 from Nashville. I mean, that's going to be fun. That's going to be awesome. It'll also be fun in Atlanta. Tickets in Atlanta will be expensive too. The cheapest ticket there is going for $570, and that's a smaller NBA arena.
Yeah, it's about 18.
But you've got Auburn going down there.
Yeah.
Ole Miss going down there, they'll bring some fans.
Mhm.
So, and Ole Miss with the shot, they got Michigan State with a shot to win there. So that's what you got in the Sweet 16. 7 SEC teams in it, and Ole Miss to me they're as big of a story as Arkansas, and I know we'll get into it, but Chris Beard, what he's done is unbelievable. Also, the portal opens today,
Which is stupid.
Well,
Absolutely idiotic that you open the portal while you've got 16 teams fighting for a national title.
But they're student athletes, and they got to go in line with the semester.
Screw that.
That's what they say.
What the hell's that got to do with anything?
So what's going to happen when you have what's going to happen when one of these teams has a kid, which I'm sure it's going to happen, that's entering the transfer portal? Like, as a coach, what do you do? Do you play him in these games?
Well, the same thing happened in football.
Right.
Where you had people participating in the semifinals and the title game who've already made their intentions known.
Is it
so
basketball?
George, if you're the head coach, would you allow him to play? Because me, I wouldn't. I mean, I'm out. But
right. No, you and I think a lot alike about this kind of stuff. You and I are black and white without a lot of gray area. But Kelly, one of the things that's going on here is, man, it's a different era. I'm not saying it's the right era, because I think we've lost our way in so many ways. And we are now in a college sports society where only one thing matters: how much cakes, cabbage, dinero, drachma, lira, how much money you got for me.
Well, the coaches portal has been open for the last couple months.
Right, and that's part of the deal. Is that's help create some of this.
We got a lot more moves to get to. Iowa has hired Ben McCollum from Drake, which is no surprise. Drake beat Missouri, tough loss. They fought against Texas Tech, just didn't have enough. Iowa City native Ben McCollum. So going
makes
back
a lot of sense.
Yeah, Texas took Sean Miller from Xavier after
you knew that was coming.
After losing to the Musketeers in the first four. That's the definition of college sports right now.
Well, the deal was that was who Texas kind of wanted to hire.
But we've been talking about a lot of these for 2 months. I mean, we speculated, maybe, I think Tony might have brought it up on a couple of shows ago, that who knows, maybe Texas snaps.
Oh, I've been saying it for weeks that Texas was a poorly coached team. Listen, these people are not going to put up with that.
Well, they're going to get rolling under Sean Miller
probably
pretty quickly.
He just took Texas to the Sweet 16 a couple of years ago, did he not?
Rodney Terry?
Yeah.
Did they get that far?
Yes.
Well,
absolutely.
It
just shows you it just shows you though we're in a society is what have you done for me lately, and that's I don't used to you had a coach stay there for 30 years, Dean Smith, all these guys, Roy Williams, but nowadays if you're not winning, you're gone.
Probably over.
Yeah, it's gone.
So in 2023, conference tournament champion in the Big 12 NCAA tournament appearance, 2024 NCAA tournament. I don't think it was Sweet 16, Kelly.
You might want to check on that there, big dog.
Might want to look a little farther. Anyway, let's move on.
That. Minnesota, as I mentioned, they will hire Nico Medved from Colorado State. Put yourself in a Colorado State fan's shoes. I don't know any Colorado State fans, but they lose on a buzzer beater to Maryland with 3.5 seconds left. Then the next day you lose your head coach, and you're probably losing your best player as well, in Nate Clifford.
So here's the part I don't get. Okay, I get that Colorado State's not one of the sexy names that's out there. But you always hear this thing about don't take a job that you can't succeed at. Who has succeeded at Minnesota?
Not even Richard Pitino.
No, he got
seriously. That's a good point, George.
I mean, first of all, you freeze your butt off up there. And if you look, can you honestly say to yourself that they could ever get really any farther than the halfway mark of the Big Ten? It's just hard to envision Minnesota basketball being at the top of the Big Ten food chain.
Ask your boy PJ Fleck what he thinks of Minnesota. He went there with all this. He won a lot of games at, I forget where it was, Western Michigan or Eastern Michigan, but now he's there and he just can't get over the hump. Can't do it.
Although he continues to row the boat.
He does.
Moving on, Billy.
Well, looking back at Minnesota, and I went down this rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
They had a coach named Bill Musselman. I don't know if he's related to Eric.
Okay, that is Eric's father.
Okay,
and
he didn't do great there.
If you go back to Bill Musselman was part of the worst fight in college basketball history in 1971 against Ohio State. It involved a big kid, Luke Whitty. One of the big combatants in that fight was future Baseball Hall of Famer Dave Winfield.
Really?
Bill Musselman ran a crazy program at Minnesota.
Clem Haskins was a coach there in the 90s as well, did well. Tubby Smith had a few good years, but yeah. Also, some local college football news. TSU has found a replacement for Eddie George. UFL head coach Reggie Barlow. He stepped down from the DC Defenders on Sunday. He's 52 years old. He's a native of Montgomery, Alabama. Spent 7 years in the NFL after the Jaguars drafted him in the 4th round. So TSU has a replacement.
Wow. He will need our prayers.
Yes.
That is going to be one tough job. First of all, Eddie left it in better shape than he found it. But with the money trouble that they've got right now, this is not going to be easy. I don't say that flippantly, even though it may have sounded that way. He's got a hard job.
One more note, Cam Ward's Pro Day about to get underway. If you'd like to watch, it's on the ACC network. So, for whatever that's worth.
Pull it up.
Which indicates that they need programming.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, look at that back shoulder.
Let's go down on the field. Gentlemen, he threw a spiral. Really?
It's messed up, George.
Now back to you. I'm a little out of control on that one, aren't I?
I know, man. You are out of control today. What happened this weekend, man? You just got overloaded with basketballs.
Yeah. Well, there's no doubt about that part. And speaking of which, when we come back, a lot of issues that have come up over the weekend around the world of NCAA basketball. Then at 4:00, Taylor Barnette will join us. We'll get into the SEC's success ride. They were 4-0 yesterday. 7 of the 16 teams remaining are SEC squads. This is 94.9, The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
Hey, Preds fans, this is Max Hers inviting you to tune in to the Predators' first ever animated broadcast when the Preds play the Columbus Blue Jackets on Tuesday, April 1st on News Channel 5. Chris Mason and I will take you through an animated Preds game during Music City Hockey in Smashville. Tuesday night, April 1st at 6 o'clock on News Channel 5.
Smashville lives here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Okay, there are issues that have popped up over the weekend that we're going to get into around the NCAA and this tournament. Let's start with St. John's, a team that I'll admit I was kind of rooting for. And Tricky Ricky has gotten himself into some hot water at St. John's. He benched the player of the year in that conference, R.J. Lewis, who, and there are two sides to this story. He went 3 for 17 from the field. He looked really lost, confidence shaken, to the point where teammates were grabbing him, kind of going, come on, get with it. And Patino benched him for the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game. Steve Lapis, the color analyst doing the game, just kept going over it, on and on and on. Why is he benched R.J. Lewis? Well, we kind of know why. 3 for 17 does speak volumes. But let me get to both of you guys. If your best player sucks in a particular game, has he earned the right to see it out to its very end on the playing floor at crunch time?
That's tough.
I'm not sure you ever earned the right, George. I can remember being benched by Coach Donnelly. Of course, I was running my mouth to him, which I know that surprises y'all and shocks y'all. But I got benched when I was a junior in a game. He just got. I wasn't playing well, and you have those deals where sometimes you just don't play well. I don't know if you're focused enough or you lose your confidence. Kind of seemed like the Lewis kid lost his confidence the other day, but um, man, I don't know. You only got 5 minutes left to go in the game, and he hadn't shown you anything. So obviously, Rick Pitino was trying to get a spark from somebody. But I don't know. Do you like he's the coach? So back in the day, like when I was playing, or when all these older coaches, that was their prerogative. I mean, if they wanted to do that, that was their deal. Now, with all this social media, with all the media blitz on, the NCAA tournament. I mean, is it the media's job to say what's right? Or, like, he's over that program. They paid him to coach the program, and that's just what he felt like he thought was better for the team at that point in the game. I don't know if you ever deserve to stay in the game. Is he a senior, guys? Is the Lewis guy a senior?
I don't believe he is. And of course, there's immediate speculation that he puts his name in the transfer portal.
I'm sure
and
that's
all
happening.
that kind of stuff. Okay, so you are of the opinion that, look, it's the coach's decision, and no, just because he's the star player, that doesn't guarantee him at the end of the game, especially if he is sucked.
Yes, that's my opinion. Now, when you reach the next level and you've done it over and over and over again, and you're just having a bad game, but say you're Steph Curry. I mean, you're not going to take Steph Curry out the last 5 minutes of the game, because that guy, he might miss every shot, but he might get something in the fourth quarter that gets him going, and you don't do that. But like, they were, first of all, like, St. John struggles shooting the ball. Like they were I think they were in a conference, and I didn't see many games, but they were in a conference where it was rough and rugged. And that's what I was going to ask y'all too about referees in this deal. But they were in a rough and rugged conference, and they made it through it. They won the conference championship, but they're not a great shooting team, and they matched up well in the Big East, because obviously the Big East has got more teams like that. But when you get, it's like I said earlier, when you get this far in the tournament, or you're trying to make the Sweet 16, the competition and the talent of that competition is going to go up. So I just think St. John's ran up against something where you have to be able to make shots, and they couldn't make shots.
Yeah, I mean, he was 3 for 17. Does he hit a shot late that's big or cuts the lead? Maybe. But this wasn't just about R.J. Lewis being benched the last 4 minutes of the game. Kadary Richmond, one of their point guard, one of their better players, fouled out. I mean, he didn't play a lot of that second half either, and Arkansas just attacked them. I think it's more about Arkansas and how they played. R.J. Lewis, when he was in the game, just looked rattled. And I think this is more than just, okay, yeah, he didn't play, but even if he did, I don't think that Arkansas team wasn't losing that game.
No, I'll say this. The comments, the stuff that I put out there after watching Arkansas come through here in mid-February or whenever it was, whatever the date was, you remember I walked in the next day and said they have as good a raw athletic talent as any team in this league. And I also, whether fair or unfairly, said, if you're waiting for him to outcoach anybody, that's not likely to happen. But I got to give the devil his due. He's got them in the Sweet 16. And who am I to say they can't beat Texas Tech? They could.
Absolutely.
Is he the only coach? Did I see this the other day? He's the only coach to take 4 different teams to the Sweet 16. Is that correct?
No.
It's not? Okay. Well, he's one of the coaches that's taken 4 teams to the Sweet 16.
That's Rick Pitino.
Pitino has done it
Or I think
4 or 5.
Oh, okay. So both those guys, I mean, legends were on the court, and he obviously joined that club, right? Taking 4 teams to the Sweet 16.
Well, I'm actually seeing here Calipari becomes the second coach to lead 4 different schools to the Sweet 16: Arkansas, Kentucky, UMass, and Memphis.
Correct.
Who's
So-
the other? Does it say?
Let's see. I'm not sure who the other coach is.
Anyway, back on the R.J. Lewis thing, there are a couple of things because Pitino has caught hell for this. In a deal where I think the bigger picture is he did an amazing job in a year and a half of making St. John's relevant. R.J. Lewis has got to be mentally tougher than that. People are going to have bad days. You cannot mentally go in the tank every time you go 3 for 17.
Right.
That would be where I would side with Pitino, even though I'm kind of siding with R.J. Lewis saying, look, he should have been in there at the end because he might be the spark, although deep down I'm a little bit like Billy. With 4 minutes left, you could just feel Arkansas was winning that game.
Well, and another thing too is Rick Pitino obviously being around his team day in and day out. He obviously knows their personalities, knows their character, and maybe he's seen Lewis in these situations before, and he just can't.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's mentally weak, mentally strong. Like I don't know, but like, who are we to sit here and say that he's been there? He's every day with them practicing, and he knows his team really well, and he just knows that. Hey, I've been in this situation before with this young man. He can't pull himself out of it.
So let's go to item number 2, and this surrounds Maryland basketball. Kevin Willard has been offered the Villanova job. Now, I've known Kevin since he was 18 years old. He played for his father at Western Kentucky. And his father, Ralph Willard, I thought was a brilliant coach. And I got to say, Kevin is not falling far from the tree. But he's been offered the Villanova job. He hasn't accepted it. Maryland has tried to offer him a contract extension. And so he got asked about it. And the Kevin Willard I know absolutely comes out in these quotes. I'm anal and I'm an a-hole. If I see something I want fixed and done better, I'm going to say it. I grew up in New York City and spent the last 15 years in New York and New Jersey. Unfortunately, I have no filter. Okay, that's the Kevin Willard I know to a T. And then he goes on, I want this program to be great. I want it to be the best in the country. I want to win a national championship, but there are things that need to change. I need to make sure that where we are with NIL and revenue is not where we've been with NIL over the past 2 years. We've been one of the worst, if not the lowest, in the NIL in the last 2 years. So that's first and foremost. And then he doubles down on that. And by the way, if you're looking for an athletic director to get pissed off at him, that guy went out the door at SMU over the weekend. Former Georgia AD Damon Evans. So Kevin Willard goes on to say, I wanted to spend an extra night in New York this year to celebrate Christmas with my team. It's told that we can't do that because it's too expensive. I don't know how we can be a top tier program and I can't spend one extra night in New York because it's too expensive. Okay. Kelly, your thoughts?
I think that's what a lot of schools are going through, and that's one of the deals where I think as a coach nowadays, when you're going after a job, you have to ask these questions. You have to ask the tough questions. And if you want to stay where you're at and you want to win a national championship, you have to be willing to do what's necessary, and you have to be willing to come up off the wallet a little bit. And with the NIL stuff, you have to be willing to pay these players. And if you're not, and if you're sought after like Kevin Willard is, I think you have to go to the AD and you have to say, if you're not going to step up to these standards, then I'm going to start fielding these calls and I'm going to go somewhere else because I want to win a national championship. I think we can do it here. You've seen what we've done on a very small budget. We've gotten to the Sweet 16, but can we get over the top? And can you raise enough money for us to get over the top? And if he starts hawing and backstepping, I think you say, well, hey, then I'm going to start fielding calls and thinking about going somewhere else.
Yeah, this is a tough spot for Maryland. I mean, the fact their AD leaves, and now you've got Willard getting some attention elsewhere. I can't wait to see how this plays out.
I mean, it basically becomes a shot at the president or chancellor or whatever to say, poop or get off the pot.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't it? Because
But
here's
what's going to start, George, here's what's going to start separating these programs, though. It's money. Money's going to start separating programs, and it's just going to be like football. How many, like there's only a handful of teams that are willing to pay the price, and it seems like the SEC's all in, every school. About paying players and about paying them well so that we can have a national championship contending team. And then that's going to separate, we talk about all the changes that are coming in college football, college basketball, college baseball, all this stuff. Well, it's going to be money because money's going to separate it. And if you're not willing to buck up and pay the money, good luck winning.
It'll be very interesting. When does Maryland play again?
Maryland plays on Thursday night.
It'll be very interesting to see in his press conference on Wednesday. Number one, has Villanova gotten tired of waiting and said, we're going to move on? Has Kevin received word from somewhere at Maryland after that game-winning shot last night that, look, we're going to take care of all this? Or is this thing going to explode and half of Maryland's team will be Villanova Wildcats a year from now? That's an issue.
Sorry, George. Sorry.
That's an issue really worth watching. Go ahead, Kelly.
What do you like at Villanova? Villanova's a blue blood program, and they've won national championships with Jay Wright before that. But can you at Villanova, which is not a very big school, can you step up to the NIL plate? I mean, that's what I think that's what Kevin Willard has to think about. Hey, it's good to go to Villanova and it's good to be at a blue blood program, but are you going to be willing to spend the money if I come?
Look, you know as well as I do, Kelly, it's now the first question that a coach asks.
Yeah, absolutely.
When they put the offer together, there's a lot of, okay, we got 5 years at, $3.5 million a year. Your buyout in year one is this, and with each passing year. And now coaches are having to say, well, that's all fine and dandy, but I need to know about NIL, and I need it to be guaranteed. I need it to be in writing. I'm not going to play games with you. I'm not going to fight with you. Put it in writing. And that's going on right now in the coaching world.
It has to go on because that's the new lifeblood of college sports. It's the money. Have we got enough money to compete? If we don't, I enjoy coaching. I love coaching, but we're not going to ever get to the point where I want to be. Just like Kevin Willard said, he wants to win a national championship. Everybody wants to win a national championship, but are we willing to do the things now monetarily to do that?
Okay, after the break, there are 2 more issues that popped up over the weekend that deserve our attention. Then at 4 o'clock, Taylor Barnette to join us, and we'll get knee-deep into the SEC's successes, 7th and final one being the Ole Miss Rebels last night, who trashed Iowa State. Now, did I think they could win? Maybe. Did I think they would win handily? No way. And then we'll open the phones around 4:20, 4:25, give or take a minute or two, and get some of your reactions. More issues out of the tournament when we come back on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
The Nashville Cats are back for another fun season of football. The first home game is Saturday night, March 29th at 5 p.m. against the Albany Firebirds. Catch the live play-by-play action on 93.3 Totally Hits. For tickets, go to thenashvillecats.com. That's thenashvillecats.com.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket.
The Predators win!
Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400. This poorhouse is all about. See you on March 20th for a day full of what I call adult spring break.
A lot of people want to define teams by singular performances.
Sports.
Did he not go back into the game after that interception?
Let's get this turned around. And we're all saying, no, they don't. Here.
You thought you were on your way.
Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Well, as some of you know, Will Wade grew up in Nashville, and he's got Vanderbilt ties. His aunt was the late women's athletic director, June Stewart. Will Wade, I can remember the first time I ever dealt with him on the phone, he said to me, I grew up listening to you. He was a Vanderbilt basketball fan growing up. Anyway, most of you know the story. He got in a lot of trouble at LSU because he got caught on tape discussing buying players, that kind of thing. Before you knew it, he was a pariah. He was out at LSU. Took him a couple of years, and he was able to get the job at McNeese State. As all of you know, he pulled a huge upset on Thursday when they absolutely clocked Clemson. And before that ever happened, the rumor, which had been out there for weeks, was that he was going to NC State. And it was made official essentially when NC State showed Kevin Keats the door a year after making the Final Four. The part that was really the most interesting was that when he was asked about the possibility at a press conference the day before his tournament game, Kelly, he pulled no punches. He said, yeah, I've talked to him, and essentially said, the likelihood is I'm going there. My players know all about it. The president of our school knows all about it. The athletic director knows all about it. It was stunningly open, like you virtually never hear a coach.
So they're so tampering is cool now. I mean, obviously, I don't know, but that's just where we're at. That's where we're at, George. Everybody's trying to make a step up. He obviously had to go down to come back up. He did a good job at McNeese State. They played well. He's got kind of a crazy kid in that Copeland kid, but he said, "Hey, you never know what you're going to get with him." They said that on the telecast when they were playing Clemson. But obviously, he did a good job. But I think it's just like coaches have been doing that stuff for years, George, and whether we've heard about it or not, he obviously just came out as an open book, but that stuff's been happening forever. That when a coach, we always hear the rumors, but when coaches are rumored to go somewhere, they've talked to somebody there, and it's been going on for 20, 30, 40 years. That stuff just happens, and now it's coming out in the open, and with the NIL and the transfer portal and all this stuff, it's the wild, wild west with the NCAA. So, who's going to stop it? What are you going to do? There's no tampering. There's no tampering legalities with it. So, I mean, yeah, I've talked to him. I probably if I'm in his same situation and somebody asks me that, I can't look in the camera and say, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, because I do. And, good for him because he told the truth, and I'd probably be the same way. Yeah, you asked me, I'm going to tell you, I've talked to him. Or plead the fifth, not say anything. But when you do that, that you've talked to him. So I don't know. It's just the new age world we're in, George, where social media, TV, media outlets, everything is wide open, is an open book, and hey, good for him. I mean, he, like you said, he got in trouble at LSU, had to go down. He did a good job there, and now he's wanted again, and now he's going to NC State.
So, Billy, the reaction to his honesty has really gotten him more positive press than he's gotten in years, even with the job that he's done at McNeese State. And nobody's ever questioned Will Wade knows how to coach, knows how to coach defenses. There's all kinds of stuff he does well. I guess what I'm curious about is, now that other coaches have seen the positive reaction to a coach just shocking a press conference and saying, yep, I sure have, and I'm probably going there, do you think more coaches start using that tactic?
Maybe some, but there aren't a whole lot of coaches like Will Wade. I mean, he's kind of a renegade, loosey-goosey. I mean, you never know what he's going to do or say, like a lot of his players. You mentioned Copeland, Kelly, but I respect him a lot for it. I mean, credit to him. And the fact that his team could have fallen apart and lost to Clemson and just gotten ran off the floor. But no, they beat Clemson. Now, they didn't look great against Purdue. Purdue had a
Purdue
great,
showed me more than I realized they had.
And I turned around and said, what in the world was Brad Brownell's game plan? I mean, Clemson, what did they – I don't know what was up with Clemson. And credit Will Wade and McNeese there, but I like what Will Wade's done. I mean, and he'll probably take – the good thing is he'll probably take 3-4 guys with him to NC State, maybe even more. And it tells you he's got a good feel in his team. And they were, he was emotional in the locker room after the game. I would have thought, Kelly, they could have fallen apart or even would have fallen apart a little bit, but he was upfront, honest with them. And maybe you're right, George. Maybe we do start to see more of this, just plain honesty from coaches.
You guys know this, though. When it comes down to the end of you've got to hit shots. Clemson didn't hit any shots. I don't care what the game plan was. They had, what was it, 14 points in the first half or six, or it was something
11.
crazy.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
It was something crazy, which broke the record. Like when you have that kind of offensive incompetence, you're not going to win games when you get to this point in the year. And they did a good job of coming back, but it was too little too late. Now they only lost by 2. But and it's the same thing when they played last week, when Will Wade's team played the other day. I mean, you got to hit shots, and if you're not hit, that's what Purdue did. Purdue was sinking shots, and if it's just like the Ole Miss game, man. Like I would have never thought that Ole Miss would have. I always thought Iowa State would have beaten Ole Miss. I thought they had a shot. I'm like you, George. I thought they had a shot to win the game, but when you're shooting the ball like Ole Miss shot the ball, there's nothing you can do. Like you have to make baskets at this time of year, and if you don't, you're going home.
Here's the last issue. We're going to put a picture up of a kid that 98% of you watching or listening to this show wouldn't have a clue about. Couldn't pick him out of a crime lineup. You got the picture? Okay. That young guy is Bryce Pope. And the deal is that Bryce Pope, in an NIL transaction, left UC San Diego and ended up at Southern Cal. Well, the deal turns out that UCSD, UC San Diego, was the team that made the NCAA tournament, and USC was nowhere to be found. This kid bought a ticket to watch his former team play and admitted that he was absolutely crushed not to be a part of them. That's one of the stories. I mean, I'm sure there are others out there. He's one I just happen to know about. But Kelly, that's one of the crushers, is that you grab the money. And look, at that age, would I have grabbed the money? I think so. I'm not 100% certain, but I think so. And yet this is one where, going to USC got him more money, but it was killing him to watch his former teammates.
And that's what my man Tom Moore said. Hey, it's all about greed now, son. And he's right. It's all about greed. I'm glad, George, this example, I'm glad that I played in the era that I played. Yeah, it was a long time ago. No, I didn't wear a leather helmet, but I was probably close. Right? I know these young kids are thinking, well, you played in the Stone Age. But I am so glad that I was able to play in the time that I played, got to stay in the dorm with friends that I've gotten for life. Like that's the missing component that these kids don't think about. And that's what's going to be missing. Like you're not going to have a college experience anymore. You're not going to make lifelong friends. Like all those guys that I played with at middle, I'm lifelong friends with them. I still talk to them. Are you going to get that nowadays? Like these guys are just, and the perfect example is I know a young man that he's transferred a bunch of times, and all he's doing is transferring for money. Like, do you love the game, or are you just transferring to make more money? And a lot of these guys, I don't know. Coach Robbins, my college quarterback coach, used to tell me, he's like, I'm not sure these kids love playing ball anymore. And I'm with him. I don't think they love playing ball. I think they love getting recruited, and I think they love making all this money. But when it boils down to it, do they really care and have the desire to fight through things and to fight through adversity? And that's what kind of makes a man. That, like, you have to go out on your own. I told my wife about my son. You have to go out on your own. You have to become a man. Like, you can help him as much as you want. I can help him, but at some point, men are different than women. You can coddle women, but like men have to go out and be a man. And I'm just not sure in this day and age with all this stuff, there's no college experience with it, which makes me sad because I love the guys. I would not want to play in today's world, George, because just like that young man, he had something at UC San Diego, And he probably enjoyed being with those guys for the right reason, but then he took the money. I'm sure you're having that a lot over the country. But there's just no staying power. And I think that's where we've gotten it all wrong. You talked about it earlier, George. I think that's where college ball is all wrong now. It's for the wrong reasons, and there's no sense of family. There's no sense of team. It's all about me. It's all about what I can make and what I can do to forward my career, maybe to go to the next level.
Billy, you want to close it?
This era is ridiculous. I mean, it is what it is, and there's not really much you can do about it right now. But the timeline to me has to change. I mean, can we not push this portal stuff back a couple weeks? Why is it? That's what has to change. I don't know when it's going to change, but I'm kind of tired of hearing about, this is his 5th year at this school, or, this is 5th different school in 5 years, or 4 and 4.
You're talking about the kid we were talking about?
Well, I mean, just Kelly in general mentioning it. Like, yeah, I'm with
the
Kelly.
JT Daniels Award.
Yeah.
Okay. The transfer portal has got to be 1 year. You got to be able to transfer 1 year, and they've got to change that. If you do it past that, like now it's just free agency, and you can go like even I forgot who said it the other day, but like, you can't do that in Major League Baseball. You can't do that in NFL. You got a contract for a couple of years, and then you got free agency, but you can't do it every year.
Okay, after the break, we'll have stat of the day. Kelly, it's time for you and I to put our thinking caps on, get a winning record for a week, and then Taylor Barnette will join us, and we'll get into the 7 SEC teams that have made it to the Sweet 16. Phone lines will open right after 4:20. This is 94.9 The Fan.
Hey, Preds fans, this is Max Hers inviting you to tune in to the Predators' first ever animated broadcast when the Preds play the Columbus Blue Jackets on Tuesday, April 1st on News Channel 5. Chris Mason and I will take you through an animated Preds game during Music City Hockey in Smashville. Tuesday night, April 1st at 6 o'clock on News Channel 5.
Smashville lives here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Follow the money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard.
We'll compare 2 prices that are similar in 2 completely different markets to find out which bet you would take.
Weekday mornings at 6 on your home for VSiN, 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today. PancoastBenefits.com or call them at 615-292-3400.
Do you ever feel like gambling is causing financial strain or hurting your relationships? The Gambling Clinic has been helping people change their gambling habits for over 2 decades. With physical clinics and remote online appointments, we're here to help you make informed decisions about your gambling. Visit us at thegamblingclinic.com so we can work together to help you win back your life. This project is funded by the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. Brought to you by the Tennessee Gambling Clinic, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
Attention college basketball fans. Kentucky and Gonzaga will square off Friday night, December the 5th at Bridgestone Arena, and you won't want to miss it. Tickets are on sale to the public at this very moment at BridgestoneArena.com and on the Ticketmaster app. It's 2 of the best programs in all of college basketball, and they're playing right in the heart of downtown Nashville. Act now. Tickets will be gone shortly, so you better act accordingly.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9 The Fan. A Cromwell media station.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We're talking more college hoops with Taylor Barnette coming up. But first stat of the day brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them at Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to their website. That's applecollisioncenters.com.
Think Stan Harrison is happy?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's another Alabama run. They just keep winning. All right, here we go. Drake head coach Ben McCollum. Obviously, they took a loss to Texas Tech the other day. When was the last time a men's NCAA tournament didn't feature a Sweet 16 with an 11 seed or lower?
I don't know why I'm thinking this, Kelly, but I think there was a tournament in the last 5 years that is the answer. I don't remember the exact year, but I think it's in the last 5 years.
That's a better guess than I've got. I'm sitting here racking my brain. I don't even know.
Lay it
Tough
on
question.
it, Billy.
2007.
Wow. Joe Kim Noah.
Florida?
Yeah. Wow. That is a tough question.
That's a tough one.
0 for 1.
Too
We'll
tough.
do our best to rebound tomorrow.
Yeah, where was Taylor when we needed him?
Oh, he wouldn't have gotten it. Do you think he would have gotten it?
Probably not.
Well, we'll
No.
find out here in just a second as we welcome all of you officially into the 4 o'clock hour from our digs at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. And let's bring up former Belmont basketball star Taylor Barnette. Would you have gotten the answer correct?
No, I would not have.
Honesty.
Just being honest over here.
Being honest.
Being honest, baby.
Yeah. So Florida in 07, I
a good
think
team.
beat Ohio State for the national title.
Was that when they had Greg Oden and what's his face? Kraft?
No, that was
Is that team?
before Kraft.
Was that before then?
It was definitely Greg Oden, though.
Yeah.
Was it?
Pretty good little team they put together.
Some good teams, no doubt.
So Taylor.
Mike Conley.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Terrific.
Mike Conley, wow. Yeah.
So let's get knee deep into the SEC. For a while, it looked murky as a lot of the bottom seeds started to drop out. Vandy and Georgia and Mississippi State. But boy,
Missouri.
the conference rallied through the whole thing and now has, with a 4-0 Sunday, 7 teams in the Sweet 16. Which is the bigger surprise to you, Ole Miss or Arkansas?
That's a really good question. I don't know. Honestly, Ole Miss. I had a feeling that Arkansas was going to go on a little bit of a run. I thought they were playing really well together, playing hard. So maybe Ole Miss, but honestly, I'm not super shocked by either. Both teams are super talented. They're well coached, and they play really hard and they defend. So I'm impressed with both teams, and I'm not really surprised by either one.
So you've played the game, and it's been in fairly recent times, not prehistoric like Kelly. What's your opinion of the benching of R.J. Lewis?
It's a tough situation. I mean, the reality of it is he was not playing up to his best ability in that game. I think he ended with 3 of 17 from the field, and quite frankly, when he even drove to the basket, he didn't look like himself. And I think that Coach Pitino just had to make a decision where some other guys were playing better and they were playing fearless, and it looked like that R.J. Lewis was playing a little tight. He'd proven himself in big moments, obviously winning the Big East Player of the Year, winning a Big East championship. But in that game, there was something different. And I really think the physicality and the size of Arkansas was able to affect him. And, you know, I think that's just an in the moment type of situation and decision that Coach Pitino had to make. And I don't disagree with it.
So those who would argue that the star that got you to this point deserves to be there at the end, you're not buying that.
No, I mean, the reality of it is like you're a team and you're trying to win a game. And if the player, even if he is the star, is not playing well and is hurting you in the game, then yeah, you got to take him out. I just think that's reality. You don't just you're not just entitled to be in the game because you won some award. You know, you still have to perform. And in that game, he was not performing. And there were players that were playing better than he was. And so I think Pitino, I trust his decision-making in a game, and I think he made the right one.
That's a good point on the award. Okay, he's Big East Player of the Year. Big whoop. This is the NCAA tournament. I mean,
he still played 30 minutes in the game and
Yeah.
had 30 minutes to prove, you know, that he was the Big East Player of the Year against Arkansas. And he just wasn't playing well. And that happens. That happens to every player. That some guys, you know, they have off games. It just came at a tough time for them.
but you have to credit Arkansas as well, right, Taylor?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they played them. They played so well. It was that was a physical game, wasn't it? Yeah, I got to credit I know Jonas Adu gets booed every time he touches the ball by Tennessee fans, but he played tremendous. I got to give him a lot of credit. And I think their size and their athleticism really, really bothered St. John's.
So let's get to Tennessee for a minute, because how ironic that their Sweet 16 matchup is against Kentucky and Indianapolis, where those two big fan bases and Purdue are going to converge. It'll be really interesting to see who's able to get the most tickets fan base wise, because those are three that'll be all over it. So, Taylor, we all know the story. Kentucky has beaten Tennessee twice in the regular season, even though deep down, I think most of us believe Tennessee is the better team. What is the secret sauce that Kentucky has on Tennessee, and how does Rick Barnes go about over the next 3 days going, screw it, we're the better team and it's time to show it?
Yeah, I think it all boils down to that guy right there. I think that he's got to make shots against Kentucky in order for them to win. And I think that they got to control the pace of the game a little bit better. I think Tennessee's got to make it a little bit more of a physical, grind it out type game. They've got to get Kentucky to play a little bit to their style of play. And I think Chaz Lanier's got to have a really good game. I think he has to make shots. I think Zakai Ziegler has to play a really good game as well. And then Jordan Gainey's got to step up too. I mean, I think Tennessee offensively really has to play well. And then I think they got to somehow manage to take Kentucky out of the rhythm and get some stops, in which that's what they do best. But Kentucky's just really good. They play fast and they have a lot of weapons. They're super skilled. And Lamont Butler's playing well. And I think that he's the guy that makes them go.
So what I remember of the game in Knoxville, Kentucky used the tactic of backing off of a couple of people and inviting the shot. You think they do that in this game?
Maybe. You know, it's one of those things. If something works, you do it again. You know, I mean, Jemai Mashak, I love him as a player. He plays extremely hard. He's an unbelievable glue guy, and he's capable of hitting threes, but that's not his strength. You know, so I think, you know, you could try it out. You could see if it works again, but you obviously, if you make a couple in a row, you might have to make an adjustment. It just feels like that happens. You know, I've been a part of games where it's like, hey, this guy's a driver only, and then he comes out and hits 2 threes in the first 4 minutes of the game, and you're just like, well, that's basketball.
So last thing I want to get into, and then I'll turn it to these guys. So here's this huge game, Kentucky and Tennessee, and there's so much riding on it. And yet in the NCAA and college athletics stupidity, we have opened the transfer portal right now, which is completely idiotic. It makes no sense to me how you would do that to teams that are battling to try to be a national champion. So if you're the head coach of one of these teams and you know you've got to reload a year from now, both will have obvious needs. How much time are you spending on playing the other guy, and how much are you spending on transfer portal and all that mess?
Yeah. Well, the reality of it is, coaches have been watching other players for months that are on other teams. And there's sites now where, agents will say that players are entering the portal and you have your login as a school, but if any of your players are on that list, you can't see them. So the reality of it is that coaches have been watching players for months. And, that's kind of the unfortunate part of where today's game is in some ways. So I think that you have to really rely on your staff. I think that you have to be realistic that, hey, we're here to win this tournament, but we also have to cover our bases for the next year. And if you have some seniors, at least you're going to lose those. Like, hey, here's what we have to replace. But then again, if you're one of those 16 teams, Elite 8 teams, and Final Four teams, you're coming with some juice. Guys want to be a part of a program like that. So, but at the same time, spots are going to go quick. So you really just kind of have to be proactive. You got to lean on your staff a whole lot, and it takes a lot of detail and a lot of work.
Kelly?
Okay, I don't really know how to ask this question. I don't even know if you can answer this question, Taylor. But the other night, you're watching the Connecticut game, and UConn has won it the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out Danny Hurley. I understand that he's an emotional guy. I get it. But you see clips of him going in the tunnel, using some extra words, talking about how, his team got screwed. He didn't say it that way. And then he comes out and he's crying to the reporter that's asking him questions. Like, I mean, is that real? And I know he is an emotional guy, but like I'm trying to figure him out. I don't know if he can be figured out because I think he's a good coach, man. Like the Connecticut team, and I think he said it in the press conference. I mean, they honored the game with the way they played. They're playing the best team in the country, in my opinion, and they almost beat them. But you get that, and then you get the other extreme with him crying. Which one is it?
Yeah, you're right. I do not know how to answer that question.
I know.
But it is interesting. I think it's definitely something that everybody notices. And there's one thing I do know about him is that he cares. I think his players feel that he cares, that he wants to win. He wants to be around players that want to win. He does. I mean, he's got a way of motivating those guys. He's a phenomenal coach. But yeah, there's a lot of antics. There's a lot of things said, but he seems to be, he is who he is. He's one of one in the college basketball coaching world, in my opinion.
That is totally correct. So
Actually, he's 2 of 2. His Arizona State brother is just as big a psycho.
That's messed up, George. Okay, so Mark Pope has come into your state, and he's done what he's done with the Kentucky Wildcats. The first time that they've been in the Sweet 16 in a little bit, and that's expected from the guys. But, he didn't have a team. I know he's a good coach because obviously he left BYU in a good situation there at the same place. Do you just think John Calipari had run his course at the University of Kentucky?
I do. Listen, growing up in Kentucky fans are relentless.
Yeah.
Mark Pope is setting the bar very high this year. And in 2 years, if they don't make it to the Sweet 16, they might be calling for him. I mean, it's just how it goes there. And, John Calipari did an amazing job at Kentucky. He's a Hall of Fame coach. He did a lot for that program. And but at the end of the day, it just had run its course. I think it's been 15 years. And it was just time for a change of pace, and that's what happened. And, I mean, I'm so happy for him. I really am that they're in the Sweet 16. I'm happy for Mark Pope that he's in the Sweet 16. 2 really good coaches. Sometimes it's just a change needs to be made. And it's not a reflection if someone's a good or bad coach. It's just maybe a personality thing.
So we showed a picture of Chaz Anir, And as a guy that played the game as you did and was a shooter, like, you know that Chaz Lanier is the guy on the team. He's kind of the scorer for those guys. But if he's not, like it seems like this when you look at Tennessee's year this year, when he hasn't been scoring, it seems like everybody else kind of pressures up. Is that like when you have a guy that can score on your team like that? Obviously, they had Dalton Connect last year, but like, how
Right.
big of a deal is it when your top dog is not scoring? And do the other guys feel a lot of pressure to pick that up, and sometimes they can't perform?
Yeah, I think that, you can't let the moment paralyze you. You still have to be able to play under pressure. And I think that guys in these moments have to still play loose and play free. I think that's really important. RJ Lewis, for example, we talked about it earlier. He didn't play well in that game against Arkansas, but I still felt like the guys around him, played free, played to the best of their ability, gave the team a chance to win. So I think Chaz Lanier has to continue to play well in order for Tennessee to advance and go to the Elite Eight, go to the Final Four, and do what they want to do. But I also think Jordan Gainey has to step up. I think Zakai Zeeler has to shoot the ball well. And so I think there's other ways. I think Chaz Lanier is going to draw a lot of attention. I think he will continue to play well. I think he's playing extremely confident right now. So I'm looking forward to seeing, if they can impose their will and their style of play on Kentucky.
Okay, my last one. Can Alabama, which we know about their offense, the whole question comes down to their defense. Can they win this thing with the defense that they play?
I don't want to say no. Anything could happen. But I do think that there's going to be some teams coming down the line that are going to defend and are going to play really hard and are going to be harder to guard. And so there's going to have to be a flip of a switch. I mean, it's still impressive. I mean, they're in the Sweet 16. They're playing well. That guy right there, I love Mark Sears. I think he's a great leader. I think he's tough and he can score and defend. I think maybe if the team took on his mentality a little bit more, that they'd be better. But also, you're in the Sweet 16. There should be a sense of desperation. I don't think I don't think you have a really hard time getting guys to play defense when you're in the Sweet 16. But they got to step it up a little bit for sure on the defensive end.
Taylor, watching Florida against UConn, I know we hit on that. Walter Clayton, I mean, the shots he hit late in the game were just ridiculous. I mean, you can't guard that. He looks like the best player in the tournament right now. I know you got Cooper Flagg out there. What percent is he at? I mean, you never know. He's played well, but yeah. I mean, are you taking anybody over Walter Clayton right now?
Yeah, he's been good all year, and I think the thing I love about him the most is he is not scared of the big moment. He hit some monster shots yesterday, and they just looked effortless. He's fun to watch. I bet Rick Pitino wish he would have transferred to St. John's and not Florida.
Yeah.
But, obviously he started at Iona. I think a couple of years with Coach Pitino helped, but he's phenomenal. I think that he takes big shots. He makes big shots. Yeah, I mean, if I'm choosing a guard, I'm choosing him for sure. I think I might still want to have Cooper Flagg over him, but no, he's playing great.
Auburn and Michigan intrigues me. I think Michigan can really test Auburn with their two bigs. Auburn's challenge this year has been down low. When there's another team going up against them with dominant bigs down low, they struggle. And a lot of teams do, but Auburn particularly, they got back to playing better. Baker Mazzara's banged up a little bit. I like Michigan to really compete and maybe beat Auburn. Do you agree?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I don't think it's going to happen. It's interesting. It's like, Auburn has Jani Broome and Dylan Cardwell, who are two monsters. To hear the fact that they struggle down low is kind of interesting, to be honest. I think number 4 there is a little bit more interested in playing offense than he is defense. But I think they have they'll be ready to go. They'll be energized. They're going to play confident, and they're the complete package. They really don't lack anything. So I still think Auburn's going to win, and I think they're playing really motivated.
Arkansas, we talked about George mentioned it. We like the matchup against Texas Tech. I mean, obviously JT Toppin is going to be a tough guard for them, but how much of a shot do you give them to keep playing?
Honestly, they're playing so confident and so well. I would not be surprised one bit if they win that game. I think they might. And they've got DJ Wagner and Boogie Flan to throw at that guy. They've got some guards that can compete and that are just as athletic and quick and are tough. I think with Arkansas, it's just how I thought what was going to get them in trouble and possibly give St. John's the game was just they were in such bad foul trouble. They're not real deep, and I don't know if the Arrow is going to be back. That's their leading scorer is out. I mean, even more impressive that they won that game. Their leading scorer is still out, and he's a huge part of their team. So if they can get him back, I mean, man, watch out. I wouldn't want to play them.
I know it's early. This game's not till Friday night, but do you have an early edge for Kentucky, Tennessee?
I just think it's people say all the time, oh, it's hard to beat a team 3 times. I don't know. My gut is telling me Tennessee right now. I also saw the line. It was at 4.5, minus 4.5 for Tennessee. I think that they're going to win.
Okay. Lexington native goes orange.
Unbiased opinion. I'm just being logical on here, man.
I think this is the first time we're seeing a fully healthy Lamont Butler versus Ziegler.
He's not fully healthy.
He's definitely not fully healthy.
He looks pretty good. I mean,
he's doing this with about 3/4 of one shoulder. Is what it looks like.
It's impressive, man. I hate that for him. I really do. He's such a good player, and he seems like such a good leader. And I just I hate that he's having to experience that as his last year. But I tell you what, I admire his toughness and the fact that he's putting that on the line for his team. I have a lot of respect for him.
Taylor, thank you as always. Good stuff. We'll do it again next Monday.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Taylor Barnette with his weekly visit here on the show. Next Monday, we'll have ourselves a Final Four. So we've laid out a bunch of stuff today. SEC and its success, issues behind the scenes. Man, there have been
a ridiculous amount.
Yeah, there have been some lively press conferences in and around the tournament. My guess is you all have got some opinions, and I want you to share them now at 615-553-0933. Again, 615-553-0933. Billy, what about chat stuff?
Chat room's open. We've got a couple questions already loaded into YouTube. We need a few more. Just go to the YouTube screen if you're watching there on the right side. Feel free to type in your question. You can do the same on Twitter and Facebook as well.
Okay, we'll do plenty of that and take your phone calls next on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
Or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
Hey, Preds fans, Max Hers in Raleigh, where the Predators will conclude their two-game road trip tomorrow night against the Hurricanes. The game is tomorrow at 6. Radio pregame coverage begins at 5.
Smashville lives here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Hey, before we go back to the phones, I want to take a moment and acknowledge Robbie Boren, who has been the Titans director of media relations basically from the time the team moved here on down in a deal where apparently they tried to shove him off into a different role, and he said no thank you. Robbie was a professional at all times. I think those of us who dealt with him always felt that way. He will be missed, and for good, I don't know what else to say other than I don't know what the hell's going on over there.
I don't think anybody
It
does.
happens.
Yeah,
It happens.
well, I hate what's going on because there are too many good people that have been shown the door of that building in recent years. Anyway, let's take some, I guess, text question. We'll go text, call, go.
Randy says, "Oh, Hottie Toddy got the girls and men's teams in the Sweet 16. Also, the baseball team swept Mizzou. Not a bad time to be a rebel." George asks, "Is it fair to say that Vanderbilt basketball was the local best sports ticket in Nashville in the 2024-25 year. It's hard to argue that.
Yeah, probably so. I mean, look, here's what they did that is most important. Yeah, they got an NCAA tournament berth, and they wish that would have gone longer. But what they really did was they reignited Memorial Gym. And for those of us who have cared about, the feel inside that great facility, that's the most important thing they did, was they reignited that building.
Yeah, that had to happen. And I think even if they didn't make the tournament, this was an impactful season.
I mean, I think back to last February, walked into a game where they were playing Georgia, and they had about 2,800 people in there. And I was like, so this is what it's come to.
It got bad.
It got real bad. Eric in Nashville is our first call. Eric, welcome into the show.
Hey, George, I'm going to get to college basketball last, but a couple of things I got to do. I got to do this shout out. I got to do a shout out to my alma mater, Hillsboro, that won the state championship basketball on Saturday.
Yeah.
Just real happy for them. Of course, when I went to school, we had, I think, one basketball program that made it to state, and I think the girls got to 2 sectionals. I think they may have gotten to state once. I don't know. But since I've graduated, we've won 2 football championships. Girls have won the state basketball championship, and now the boys. I'll tell you what, real happy for them. In fact, this year, if the girls had made it, it would have been the first time in history that the boys and girls went to the state, because I think the girls had a home sectional game, which that's the first time that's ever happened, but they lost theirs, unfortunately. George, a couple of things I also wanted to mention. Also, you may have talked about this. I didn't hear at the beginning of the show. You may have talked about the passing of George Foreman. Just heard that late Friday night. We're real sad to hear that. Of course, when the course was Rocker, he was liked, then became unliked, but then he got liked again. Changed his whole life around, and I saw his documentary a couple years ago, The Big George Foreman, which really thoroughly enjoyed that, and just real sad to hear he passed. And also, one other pass I kind of meant to mention is, I heard this talked about, I'm sure you heard the story, and they're showing it now on Inside Edition about, I guess, the Yankees' 14-year-old son who passed away, got sick in Costa Rica. Some of the family members, I think, got sick, and he wound up passing away. It's just a real tragic and unfortunate story. I didn't know if you had heard that.
Yeah, I knew Brett Gardner's son had died. What was the illness?
I don't know. They're showing it right now. I've got the sound turned down because I didn't want to have it up while I'm talking to you on the phone, but they're showing it right now and trying to figure out. Apparently, the family was in Costa Rica for vacation, and some of the members got sick, and apparently he passed away. They said all this says is he passed away peacefully in his sleep. So I have no idea what happened. I don't know if he had an infection or just what the deal was. So maybe more details about that will come out later. And George, real quick on the college basketball thing, because I want you to be able to get to other callers. It's just, and you mentioned about the NIL transfer portal. The unfortunate thing about that, George, is now is the mid-majors are really going to be hurt by this now, because we didn't have a single mid-major in the Sweet 16. And I don't know who the coach they talked to kind of brought up the point that said that I guess we'll have to go to like Division 2 or Division 3 to recruit players now. But with everybody, plucking players now and all that type of stuff, it's definitely made it a lot harder now for the mid-majors, where I'm not saying they can't still from time to time get the Sweet 16, but it's going to be hard for them to achieve the level of success that they once did with the whole NIL and transfer portal. Guys, we'll get off and let you get some other callers. Y'all take care, and we'll talk again soon.
So, guys, it does appear that what you've got is the D1, the high D1 programs are obviously poaching from the mid-majors. The mid-majors are having to go down to things like D2, NAI. Yeah. I mean, it's a cycle.
It truly is, but that's where we're at. I mean, you look at some of the guys like Dusty May brought that big the golden kid from with him from FAU to Michigan, which kind of Billy talked about it earlier. They got 2 big guys, so they're a formidable team with those guys in there. So I don't know where it's going to go, where it's going to stop, but if you're a coach on these lower levels, you just like Casey Alexander talked about that. He said it's just part of the game now. He lost a great player in Malik Dia. I mean, just think about what you could have done with Malik Dia. They probably get up there and maybe win the Missouri Valley Conference with him, but he goes somewhere else. So that's going to happen every year. It's just going to be the same thing. It's going to be turnover.
You could put one heck of a team together with all the players Casey's lost in the last 4 or 5 years. Cade Tyson, Malik Dia, Jacoby Gillespie, Will Richard, who played really well for Florida the other day. I mean,
Gillespie made a couple of big plays, excuse me, late in the game last night against Colorado State.
I mean, it's brutal for guys like Lenny and Casey and anybody else at that level.
Hey, did the Queen kid walk? Did he walk? Was that a walk? Golly, he took a lot of steps.
You can't call that.
I didn't think so, but I know a lot of people feel like he did. I watched it again this morning when I heard how much hubbub there'd been about it.
You get 2 steps after you gather possession of the ball, right? So you pick up your dribble, you get 2 more. People are saying he was close to a third or had a third, whatever. That's the first bucket meter.
But if you're a ref at that point, you're not going to call that.
No. We do have one from somebody on YouTube. Will power conference schools eventually have scouting departments like MLB baseball to scout talent on other college teams? I think they already do.
Well,
they already have.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And if they don't,
what are they waiting for?
They're not winning any games.
Yeah. Okay, next up, Jeff in Murfreesboro. Welcome into the show.
First of all, George, how's it going, George? First of all, I want to say Texas and Iowa have outstanding hires. Texas is outstanding. I'll take Sean Miller any day over their last 2 coaches they've had. I'll take it. I'll take that guy Drake too. I think both of them's going to do great at those 2 schools, Iowa and Texas. And first of all, the traveling thing, I guess we need to go to the Monitor and see if that guy traveled. You won't do. Let's go to the Monitor. Let's study and worry and wonder on that. We've got to study and worry and wonder everything else. Let's go and look, see if he traveled. But like Kelly said, they're not going to call it, and the basket's good. I'm sorry. So that's the way it is. And as far as the transfer portal, that's life. That's the way, like Kelly says, that's part of it. Malik D, was it Vanderbilt for? Was he not?
Yeah, before Belmont, yeah.
Yeah, Vanderbilt, Belmont. Okay, where else are you going to go? Let's see, Austin P, Middle Tennessee, Tennessee Tech. Where else in this state? I mean, a lot of this. We're going to tour the state. I mean, let's give me a break, okay? So that's just the way that is, okay? And as far as the 7 in the Sweet 16, they also set a record 6 losing the first round. Nobody wants to talk about that. That's 6 of them lost in the first round. And Georgia and Mississippi State, give me a break. They didn't deserve to be in the tournament. Are you kidding me, Georgia? They don't care about basketball. Give me a break. They were going to get killed. They didn't need to get up off the bus. They were going to get killed. And as far as boring goes, George, about the Titans, you earn yourself every day in this business. There's none of this, you don't have a guarantee because you've been in the business 30 years. You work every day and every day for respect. I don't care if you've been in it 30 minutes or 30 years. Every day you work for respect every single day. You don't sit on here and say, well, I've been in it 30 years, so I'm a legend. I'm automatic. Hell no. Every minute of every day you work hard. Like you talk about Mike Organ being the hardest working, the 615 in 40 years or whatever. He's working hard every day to keep his job. He's not sitting out here going, well, I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. That's tough. That's the way that's life.
If you're insinuating that Robbie didn't work hard, then that's you not having a clue what the hell you're talking about.
That's part of the business. Okay. Channel 2,
part of the business. But let me ask you this. Have you ever dealt with Robbie?
No, I never have, but I've lost jobs in this business I shouldn't have lost in the newspaper business. I had a guy who was the worst boss I ever had in West Tennessee. He knows his name, okay? And when he passes, I'm going to have a party when he does. He's the worst boss I ever had in this business, period. Okay, so, I mean, that's part of it. Nikki Burdine got let go with Channel 2 and shouldn't have been let go. And other anchors, too, Bree Smith at Channel 5, about weather, period. And that's part of it. The media business, every day you work every day. Don't you give me this stuff back 30 years in, you just automatic no, period. The end of story, period. I don't care how hard he worked, period.
That's not what I said at all.
Wow. There goes Jeff.
Yes.
What did Jeff say? I couldn't hear him.
Well,
which I really
the Titans firing of Robbie Bourne is just simply wrong. And you're going to see a lot of media people come to his defense. Hard worker, professionalism, any of the above, all of the above. And look, I've got no problem with people commenting on stuff we comment on, but when you don't even know the person, shut the hell up. Okay? Let's just fire it right back, Jeff. This is something you don't need to be butting into because you don't know a damn thing about it. Tyrone and Brentwood, you're up next. Welcome.
Oh, hello, guys. I promise I'll be nicer than that, than that last guy. Anyway, couple of things. I do got to give the SEC credit. I'm not an SEC fan. I didn't think I thought they were going to fall on their face this weekend. I truly did, and they stepped up, won some big games. I give them credit, but I'm going to tell you this, guys. In Alabama, I'm going to start with Alabama. Hey, Alabama, if you don't bring your defense, don't show up in the Elite Eight game against Duke, because if you keep defending like you're defending, Duke will run you out the gym and embarrass you. Plain and simple. I'm telling you right now, Duke, between Flag, between Kniple, between Proctor, as good as Flag is, and I love him, and I love this team, they don't need Flag to play well. I mean, he plays good. Don't get me wrong, but they are so surrounded, they are so balanced where you don't have to go for 40, and they can still win because they got so many weapons, so many guys. They defend, their length, their size. I'm telling you right now, and I'm glad we're getting Arizona. I want Alabama. I know we're going to get Houston, Tennessee, or Kentucky in the Final Four, and I want Auburn in the national title because I think this right here, SEC, best conference in the league this year. Give them the flowers, roses, blossoms, but the true team, the true best team, when all said and done, is going to be standing with the Natty, and that's going to be Duke. I think Duke's going to win it. I think they're on a mission. I think they got 3 NBA players on this roster, and I just think the SEC, as good as they are and tough and all that, gotcha. They're not going to be a match for Duke. They are not going to be a match for Duke.
I got a question for you. Should Alabama be worried about BYU? Because I think that's the best team in the country that nobody knows anything about.
Oh, yeah, they should, because I think BYU can light it up, and they fit into the way Alabama like to play, the up-tempo, get many possessions as you can. Yeah, they should be worried about BYU. BYU is fully capable of beating them 96-92. I won't dismiss that at all. But when you play Duke, they're going to defend. They're going to defend. They're going to go through stretches where they lock you down. And if you can't match them defensively and lock them down, it's going to be a runaway party, George. I'm telling you, you've been doing this thing for decades. You're one of the best ever. I know deep down, you know and I know, good as the SEC is, if Duke's standing there, oh, they should be very afraid. Very afraid.
I love it. Good talking to you.
Take care, sir. Good talking to you too, always.
Good call there. Love it.
I want to see Duke in Florida for all the marbles.
That's very possible, man.
So, okay, when they get to the Final Four, what are the matchups?
Duke will play either Houston, Tennessee, Kentucky, or Purdue. You know, if that's Tennessee, okay. Auburn would play most likely Florida in the Final Four. I mean, I do, but
so like, they couldn't play each other in the final.
No, they can. That's what I'm saying. Duke and Florida are on opposite sides of the bracket.
No, I'm saying Auburn and Florida. They could not.
Oh no,
they
Auburn,
would play.
Auburn and Florida
if they
would
play. They would play in the semis.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go to the break, and let me see. Got some lines, I think, open. Yes. So hit them. Somebody jump in there. 615-553-0933. We'll go to the break. This is 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
The Nashville Cats are back for another fun season of football. The first home game is Saturday night, March 29th at 5 p.m. against the Albany Firebirds. Catch the live play-by-play action on 93.3 Totally Hits. For tickets, go to thenashvillecats.com. That's thenashvillecats.com.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket.
The Predators win!
Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400. Two total screw-ups of humongous proportions.
Sports. We're not living in an era where perfection is necessary.
They thought they were a championship contending team.
Here, we told you not to do this. Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Hey, Preds fans, this is Max Hers and
Once again, you can leave next time you want, but you can never leave. We welcome all of you back. It's a beautiful Monday afternoon. Could not be nicer. Clay on line 4. You're on 94.9.
Well, thanks for getting me on. I got a little busy. I thought it was too late. Let me tell you something, George. My afternoons between 3 and 5 is planned around this show, just to let you know that. So,
you know, there's probably therapy for that.
Say that.
Thank you.
But Kelly, Hoss, I got a question for you. George is a BU graduate, so he cares about Vanderbilt basketball. Billy appears to care about Vanderbilt basketball. I'm just curious. You know, I mean, you played at MTSU, but I hope to God that you're not a Vol. Are you a Vol?
Lord, no, I'm not a Vol. Now, I will say this. I will say this, Clay. I do like Rick Barnes. Now, I'm not a Vol fan. I've never been a Vol fan. I grew up on the Middle Tennessee southern border. So you were either an Alabama, Tennessee fan when I grew up, and I was an Alabama guy. But now I just like watching good ball. Basketball, football, whatever it is.
Very politically correct answer.
Well, it's true, though.
Yeah, I thought that might be some of the problem. You know, when you
get on my boy Billy too much. That Vanderbilt, Tennessee crossing that line thing, I thought that was a problem.
Billy deserves it, Clay. I mean,
Anyway,
he deserves me getting on to him.
Anyway, guys, obviously I've got some thoughts, and I'll be brief. Really good year when you stop and really think about everything. Memorial Gym comes back. Memorial Gym is alive again. George, you and I know back in the day, that place used to rock. And I remember the Tennessee game in 2008, one of the loudest games I've ever been at when we beat them when they're number one. And I want that place like that again, and it's headed there. And we've got to keep bringing in the money for NIL, get the players. We've got the coach. I'm still sold on Byington as our coach. He is a terrific basketball coach, in my opinion. A good team this year, but a flawed team, and that's been said a lot. Size at the rim, a little bit more consistent three-point shooting. We have a guy in nickel, that when he's on, he's as good as anyone, but sometimes he is streaky. It just kind of bothers me, to lose your last 4 games. It just kind of puts a sour taste in your mouth. And the kid I feel the worst for is Chris Magnon. That kid is a junkyard dog. The block that he made at the rim, and I believe maybe, Billy, you might remember, it was a terrific play, a terrific block. And I think we came down and made a 3. It might have been when Tanner made his. That kid lays it on the line every night. And it was a joy to, see him play for a year. I wish him the best. I just hate it for guys like that because it's over. I mean, in an instant, it's over. And, but still, as a fan, you've got to be happy about the direction of this program as long as we can, get the players in here and, increase NIL, keep increasing NIL. That's the landscape we're in, and you've got to do that to compete. So, again, I'm still happy, just disappointed in the way the season ended, and I really felt bad for the guys that are, Huffman. That guy would get up in your grill. I mean, he can play deep, and he knocked down a 3. But anyway, that's my thought. Still happy, just disappointed. I wanted to win that, at least win a game, but amazing to make the tournament.
Talk to you soon, Clay.
All right, thanks.
Let's go to Steve in Nashville. Steve, I got a couple of minutes. Do the best you can.
Okay, I will do my best. Hey, talking about Robbie. Robbie worked for Dad at the Sounds. I'm sure you know that, for quite a few years. And like you said, there's not a nicer, more professional person you'll ever meet. So if he was, in fact, let go and didn't leave on his own over there, that just really sums up that organization in a whole. So I hope Robbie will definitely find bigger and better things. So great person.
Yeah, it bothered me a little while ago having to listen to all that nonsense because it is nonsense, and it's coming from somebody who doesn't know the individual that we're talking about, and it's just a bunch of BS. And I don't know what's going on at the Titans. I don't pretend to understand a lot of the off-field kind of stuff, but somewhere there's a skunk in the woodpile in that place, and somebody better figure out that can do something about it, what's causing it.
Yep. And hey, real quick, I'm going to need you to co-sign on a loan for me. I loaded up on all the bets last week that you gave out and the bookets, and I didn't have a very good week. So where do I need to send that paperwork?
Steve,
can you give me an email, Kelly?
Absolutely. Murfreesboro, Tennessee, 37164. Send it to Kelly Holcomb. Hey, by the way, your dad is going to, as you know, he jumped all over me this morning about my horrible picks. And so I said to him, well, then you do it. I said, I'm giving him the opportunity Thursday and Friday to pick the NCAA games against the spread. I told him, I said, you're going to find out this is harder than you think.
What do you think about that, Kelly?
Well, it is pretty hard, man. I don't envy George on that because he puts himself out there, and when you're doing points and stuff like that, that's tough. But I'm for your dad. If that's the case, I'm for your dad because I don't ever want George to win. But if your dad wins, that'll be great.
Oh, I love it. I love it. He's got his own rooting section. Steve, thank you for calling.
Thank you, gentlemen. Anchor down.
Oh, we after the break, we need a victory. No college stuff tonight. We have had to resort to the pros. We'll tell you what we've got next on 94.9 The Fan.
Hey, Preds fans. Max Hers in Raleigh, where the Predators will conclude their 2-game road trip tomorrow night against the Hurricanes. The game is tomorrow at 6. Radio pregame coverage begins at 5.
Smashville lives here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
At Electronic Express, we've got the largest selection of TVs and unbeatable deals. Right now, get a Roku 75-inch smart TV for only $499, or a Sharp 55-inch smart TV for just $269. Plus, buy 2 or more qualifying Samsung appliances and get a free 65-inch Samsung Smart TV. Free delivery, expert service, and up to 36 months free financing? We've got that too. Don't miss out. Shop in-store or electronicexpress.com today.
The closer we are getting, the more bets we have available.
Rush Hour with Danny Burke.
Let me talk about a couple of guys that I do have a little bit more faith or confidence in betting one side versus the other.
Weekday afternoons at 5 on your home for VSiN, 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Final segment on a Reaction Monday. Not really any college action at all tonight. We do have some NBA action. We'll see where George is going with Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Take a look at what happened over the weekend. Got a win with Illinois. That was their first-round game against Xavier. They covered -3. McNeese +5.5. Did not work out against Purdue.
A big L.
Texas A&M -2.5. Did not work against Michigan.
The bigger L.
Drake did not cover the 7.5 against Texas Tech, but BYU and Tennessee got wins.
You know, Kelly, there's certain teams that you're just late to the party on, and I'll admit I'm late on Michigan.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
They are pretty good. And obviously, Dusty May
is really good.
A terrific coach.
Yeah.
So, okay, so tonight we have no choice but to get into the NBA. And here's what we're taking: the Phoenix Suns at home -3 against a Milwaukee Bucks team that's nowhere near. So we're going Phoenix. Phoenix
against.
There you go.
Billy, was there some pilot error there?
Yeah, it was a slight pilot error. My bad.
Okay.
I didn't hear any of what was going on. I know that you picked the Sun, so good luck with that, George.
In the Valley of the Sun. Tomorrow, Tony Basilio will join us from Knoxville. There's got to be a lot of excitement there, not only to get to the Sweet 16, but to try to avenge 2 losses in a row against Kentucky. And we'll probably head elsewhere during the 4 o'clock hour. Stick around. Until then, for Kelly Holcomb and Billy Derrick, George Plaster, so long, everybody.